The latest on efforts to help eligible migrants living in Massachusetts get permits to work. And today, both federal and state officials announced that they are working together to speed up the process and help even more migrants find jobs.
Western Mass News reporter Daniel Santiago joins us live in studio after getting answers on how this could potentially help migrants sheltering here in Western Mass. Daniel, what's the ultimate goal of speeding up this process?
Well, Chris, Abby, the ultimate goal is to find employment opportunities for migrants to get them out of the emergency shelter system, a much-needed effort to make space in shelters all across the Bay State.
On Thursday, representatives from the Biden-Harris administration, state officials, and nonprofit leaders came together to announce a faster work authorization process for migrants arriving and sheltering in Massachusetts, as requested by Governor Maura Healey and local leaders all across Western Mass.
Thanks to the processing improvements at DHS, we work together with the state and are accelerating the time it takes to approve work permits for certain people to an average of just 30 days.
A process already put into place at a work authorization clinic out east in Reading, which is already showing results.
Between Massachusetts, the Biden-Harris administration, and nonprofits, as mentioned, we've been able to help over 1,700 migrants in Massachusetts shelter system apply for work permits, and that number continues to rise.
State Emergency Assistance Director General Scott Rice says nonprofit organizations and other volunteers are also involved.
Mass Hire volunteers have registered nearly 650 individuals to help them begin their career journeys. When work authorization is achieved, Mass Hire will follow up with each individual to help with their job search and connect them with employment partners, work readiness programs, and trained providers.
Here in Western Mass, speeding up work permits for migrants could clear out shelters. And according to Kevin Lynn, the executive director at the Mass Hire Springfield Career Center, it could also help boost the labor market in our area.
This is really an opportunity for this country to, and the state of Massachusetts in particular, to inject a lot more people into our workforce. We desperately need them. And if we can convert them into working people, we're all going to benefit.
Lynn, who helps people connect with jobs every day, agrees with state and local officials that authorizing work permits needs to happen faster.
If the goal is to get folks out of these shelters as fast as possible, they need to be able to work as fast as possible.
Lynn also tells us that there are many employers across Western Mass eager to hire migrants who are currently in the shelter system, and he believes speeding the process will help him connect many of them with job seekers once they are legally allowed to work in the state. Reporting live in studio, Daniel Santiago, Western Mass News.